So, what I was thinking about today was, what has helped my wife and I um, deal with major decisions and allow us to do okay decisions. I wouldn't say that we're always perfect with them, and we have a lot of, heated debates, I guess, about big long-term decisions. And I think that's the key, is the heated debate, the conversation, the talking, and sometimes you don't feel like it and it doesn't feel great when you're having these conversations, but often is it is just having these longer term conversations about where you think things should go. And it's not always perfect, I'm not saying that at all, right? Like, that's not real life. um, but I think sort of stepping through and listening to each other allows you to make really good decisions for the long term, because what it ends up doing is slowing you down just a little bit. It doesn't keep you perfectly aligned and within the same track, but a lot of major decisions that we've had, we've made sure that both of us are on board, and either one of us are sort of slow and cautious. And so what that does is sort of slows things down quite a bit. And I don't always agree with the things that she would point out, and she doesn't always agree with the things that I point out. But it's a slow and cautious, steady sort of compromise that you get. And it is a compromise, right? It's always a compromise. You're never sort of going to do things the way that you would do things. So for me, I would be a lot more conservative with a lot of things, but then, I'd be okay with living in a tent, and that's fine, right? Like, but my wife is helps us enjoy things a little bit more, and that's a positive thing. That's all really good. That allows me to have a better life, and I hope sort of the you know slightly. I'm not like, my wife is amazing with finances and stuff, but I'm slightly more conservative, just slightly, not like dramatically, and hopefully that sort of allows us to set things out for the long term. And I think it's important to think about this, right? Like, as you go through your life, to have more conversations, and it doesn't, I'm not saying like these conversations are like this, like sit down and sort of rational thing or whatever, but it's like intermittent with life. And sometimes these conversations are very heated. Um, we have less and less of them as we've gotten older, because I think we sort of know each other and we've learned a little bit. We have more resources available, like things like that. So it doesn't matter as much. A lot of things don't matter as much, but you know, there is a lot to be said with the sort of slow um, move forward where both people are okay with it. Um, so the tricky part is, though, is that you have to sort of listen, or everybody, both parties are, get resentment, right? And that's a really tricky, difficult thing to do. Um, and that requires a lot of conscious effort. And you need to be conscious about that. You need to sort of make sure that everybody is okay, that people are walking forward, without getting overwhelmed or feeling like they're not being represented. And that's hard, right? Like, that part of it is hard, and that's where I think people just kind of don't want to do it. So I think it's just really important for you to have conversations that you don't like to have. If you're with a partner of any sort, just having those conversations sort of somewhat routinely, it often can be really fun and exciting to do these kind of things. And you sort of plan together and you dream together and where things are going to go. And of course, things don't work out, but always. But then you get used to it, right? Like, it's a matter of figuring out. And this is the thing, like, if I'm not perfect, right? Like with any of this kind of stuff, and it's tricky. I struggle. My wife and I struggle with sort of conversations, but um, I want that to you to be well aware of this. Is not like an art, and I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't it's not like I'm like a professional at it at all of having these conversations, but it's a matter of figuring out what everybody likes, and then once you sort of discover that, you can walk through things a little bit easily. But the problem is nobody really knows what they like, right? It's not like it's obvious, and it's not obvious to yourself, and so that's why you have to have a lot of conversations and what to do and to work through things. And I encourage you to slow things down, to slow down decisions, to really um, be methodical and thoughtful when you're making your decisions, and that helps out with the long-term perspective, right? And the slower, methodical, stability, all of those kind of words, and thinking about like how you can make your life more stable, more ordinary, more plain, that has large financial implications in the future that matter a lot. And once you sort of get used to that, then that becomes part of your life, and you sort of change your nuance in terms of what you're doing. And what happens is that as you sort of do things and you work towards something, and that becomes like your thing, then it becomes easier and easier and easier as you sort of go through life, because um, you become more stable yourself, like actually become more stable, which allows you to do a lot more in the future, and allows you to get more resources in the future. And I just want you to remember that it's not true of absolutely everybody, and it takes an awful lot of work, and an awful lot of thoughtfulness, but just think about that in terms of how you can keep yourself more stable as you go through life. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.